My main man is here. God, dog. All right, all right. Let me check the live feed. We are live. Okay, yeah. All right. LD MMAC. This is your boy Coach Sheldon Harrison. You're live on the Coach Sheldon Harrison Combat Sports Show live. Man, I got my man Ray the Judge Rodriguez right here. Guys, y'all better get familiar with this name because I'm going to tell you, man, this guy going to the top. Ray, what's going on, man?
Oh, nothing much, man. Just finished a quick little gym session right now. I was supposed to take a day off, but man, talk to Coach Joe. I have a hard time taking those, man. I try to outwork everybody in the game. So I was supposed to take a day off, but did a little light run and about to hang out with the family here in a minute.
Yeah, man. I don't think Joe believe in taking days off, do it?
He does it.
Yeah.
He does it, man. He works hard, but I love him for it, man.
And if y'all want to know who you talking about, mean by Joe, we're talking about the famous Mitt Man Joe. Mitt Man Joe. He trains several fighters, and he's helping them sharpen their striking skills, their punching skills. So yeah, and Mitt Man Joe was here maybe about 2 weeks ago, and I was talking to him about a lot of you guys, and man, he had a lot of nice things, great things to say about you, man. Like what kind of stuff, man, does Mitt Man Joe, what has he been doing to help you really sharpen up and perfect your game?
So whenever I first started working with him, we were exclusively doing boxing. We were trying to get my hands sharp. We were fixing some holes in my game. And one day I talked to him and I was like, "Hey man, how do you feel about working on kicks too? Adding kicks to the mix?" And he didn't even have to think twice about it. He was like, "Absolutely, let's do it. If you could just show me a few ways to hold the pads, because whenever you're holding kicks, you have to get they're much larger pads. They go from like your wrist all the way to your elbow, and I mean it's kind of scary for the first time. You've been holding mitts for punches all your life, and now you have kicks coming your way. And he wasn't worried about it. He didn't question anything. He was like, absolutely, let's do it. And what I love about Joe, man, is he puts his heart and soul into what he does because he expects the fighter to do the same for him. And I think that's something that we respect about each other. We're both super hard workers, and that's how we've come full circle, man. Some of the sessions that we do, they last 45 minutes straight, and I'm talking no breaks. And we're getting better for it, man. I'm in the best shape of my life, and a lot of it's due to Mitt Man Joe.
Man, yeah, I've seen, Mitt Man Joe work with a lot of different people, man, and he's 100% sure that you guys are taking your skill sets to the next level, man. And when I say the next level, I mean UFC. Here you guys come.
Yeah.
Y'all got a strong gym, man. So Ray, you got to fight, man. You got to fight against Chris Gutierrez, man. I mean, is this the biggest fight of your career?
Um, it is, but at the same time, man, in the sport of MMA, every fight's the biggest fight of your career, because you put your heart and soul into every single camp, and you're only as good as your last fight. So my last fight was the biggest fight of my life, and the fight before that was the biggest fight of my life. So it is, but I try not to put too much pressure on it, man, because I feel like if you do that, it's just unneeded pressure. I'm my biggest skeptic in the gym every day and during sparring and day in and day out and training. So I try not to put too much pressure on it. It's an important fight, yes, and definitely with the win over Chris Gutierrez, I feel like that's gonna springboard us into the next level, which is the UFC. And we've beaten some tough guys, and with the win over this guy, I feel like it's definitely gonna get us there. So I'm excited about it, man.
Ray, I think a win over Mr. Gutierrez, man. I think that's going to put a stamp on already a great career that you've had up to this far. I mean, you guys are going to be on LFA 52, okay?
Yeah.
LFA 52, that to me is a big stage. Definitely a big stage for you, definitely a big stage for Chris. Man, this guy has never been finished. He's never been submitted. So, what do you do with guys like that, man? When they come in and they face the judge, and these guys are tough. Cause I watched about 4 or 5 of Gutierrez's fights. Boy, that boy is durable, man. He durable.
Nah, he's good, man. But I have a good camp around me. I have some of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners in the world, some of the best kickboxers in the world. I'm training with world champions on a daily basis. So whatever he brings to the table, I'm really not worried about, man. Like we've game planned for this guy. We know where he's good at. Like he could throw kicks. Um, Man, he really doesn't like when people get in his face, man. So I'm gonna get in his face and see how long it takes for him to break. And I really feel it's gonna take about in about the second round he'll start wilting under the pressure, and that's when we'll get the knockout.
Guys, look, man. If you're watching this on archive, Ray the Judge Rodriguez just said he finna pretty much put this boy away. He finna deal with this boy in 2 rounds. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't want to call him a boy, but that's I'm sorry, I got this southern accent. He finna deal with this young man in 2 rounds, man. A guy that's never been finished, man. You just gotta respect this guy, Mr. Ray Rodriguez. Ray, I'm gonna be tuning in that fight, guys. The schedule is up on the screen. Okay, you can see the fight date, October the 9th. Okay, I mean October the 19th. It's gonna be a huge fight. Now, is Midman Joe also gonna be in your corner for that fight?
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be Mitman Joe. I have my head MMA coach, Jason Yarrington, who's a head coach at Ohana. And then one of my, or my best friend, Phil Platt. He's been in my corner since day one, since my amateur days. He's my voice of reason, man. He's the one who talks to me in the middle of the rounds. And it's been really successful, man. So we're gonna stick to that recipe. And we've been on an 8 fight winning streak since. And I guarantee you, man, October 9th, it's gonna be a 9 fight winning streak with 7 finishes.
Yeah, man. An 8 fight winning streak, man, since your last loss. So, what did that last loss do to you mentally when you lost that fight? How did this prepare you, Ray, to actually go and just beat up 8 straight guys?
It was big. It was the first time in my career where I lost 2 times in a row. And I had to go back, man, and kind of look at what I was doing. I actually retired. After I lost that second fight, I announced in the cage, I was like, guys, that's it. That's a wrap on my career. Just because I was putting so much into the game, man, to where I was neglecting everything else in my life. Like it hurts to say me, but I mean it hurts to say this, but like I wasn't spending a lot of time with my children. I wasn't spending a lot of time on my studies. Everything was going into the fight game. Like I wake up, train, uh, take a little break, train again, and go straight to sleep. So no one else mattered in my life. And I don't want to say they didn't matter. They just weren't on the priority. Fighting was everything to me. And whenever I went 5-4, I just knew in my heart that something had to change, not only for my MMA career, but my life as well. I just felt empty. So whenever I went back to it, man, I was like, if we're gonna do this, I got to make some changes. Like fighting is a priority to me, and it is everything. But I need to allot some time for my studies. Going to school. I recently graduated from University of Incarnate Word. So I finally got my degree, which was a long term goal of mine. And then to spend time with my family and my children, man, like um, that's my pride and joy, and that's something that I've really changed in my career. And since I've done that, since I've been able to allot specific times for different things in my life, my MMA record has gone up. 8 fight winning streak, six finishes, and we're fighting some of the toughest guys in the world. So um, I really owe a lot of my success to that, to being disciplined, and the fact that fighting isn't everything. There's a lot more.
Very critical gem in this whole interview. If nobody else get anything out of this interview right now, I think that you dropped the most important thing: balance. Um, in everything, balance is the key to everything in life. Everything in life that's created, there's balance. If there's no balance, then you have a mass of one thing on one end. Could be good at the point that it's in, but then you got this other part over here that's suffering. And Ray, I see a lot of photographs with you and your daughter. And we were just chopping it up before the interview started. And man, I look at you and I'm like, man, this guy, he goes in here, he destroys people. But now, you are like a legend in the eyes of your daughter. Man, could you like maybe talk to us about what your daughter means to you through this whole process of being one of the best fighters in the world?
Absolutely, man. And so actually, I have a big family, man. I have my fiance Monica. I have my oldest daughter Hallie. Leighton is the one who competed yesterday. She's 6 years old, and we have a Kyson who's a year and 3 months. So they all are a special piece to the puzzle, man. And it means the world to me, man, to be able to show them that. anything's possible in life, whether they want to be the president of the United States or whether they want to be a professional fighter or a doctor or trash man or trash woman. As long as they put everything into what they do, daddy will be happy. Like I said, obviously, um, I hope their sights are set on something high, but whatever it is that they do in life, I'm gonna support them. I feel like it's important to be able to support your kids. A lot of people ask me if I'm gonna put my kids in fighting and if I want them to be professional fighters, and if that's what they want to do, then absolutely, we're gonna give it 100%. But if that's not what's in their heart, then I'm not gonna push them to it either. Like I said, my job as a father figure is to be a supportive figure in their life to whatever they want to do, whatever journey that they create for themselves. I'm gonna be the biggest cheerleader they have.
Man. Well, I tell you what, man. If your kids ever decide to fight, boy, they're gonna have a good corner man in there. They're gonna have Ray Rodriguez in the corner. Is who they gonna have.
Coach Shelton. So yesterday, Layton, she had that competition, right? It was her first jiu-jitsu competition.
Yeah.
And man, I've never been so scared. Not scared. Yeah. Scared's the right word. I've never been so scared in my life, man. Just like we were talking a little bit earlier, just seeing her in these tough positions and being able scared and proud at the same time, because she was in these tough positions, man, and you can tell in her little heart she was fighting and fighting and fighting to get out of it. And I feel like she eventually got out of these bad positions, and I feel like that was a microcosm of life. Like I know this little girl's going to get down sometimes in life, and she's going to have bad days and bad things are going to happen to her, but I know after seeing yesterday, man, that she has that heart of a lion, that heart of a champion, that whatever happens, she's going to be able to get out of it. And it was good, man. It almost brought a tear to my eye yesterday seeing her compete, because I know that she has a lot of fight in her, and not only in jiu-jitsu, but in life as well. I know it's going to come with it.
Yeah, she got that heart of a lion, man. Hey, she grapples now. She was grappling with boys, or was she grappling with girls?
She went against two little boys yesterday who out experienced her by months, for sure, by months. And she went out there, and every time she competes or rolls, I tell her to put on her mean face, because that's how she gets in the mindset of competition. And her eyebrows got down, and she scrunched up her little nose, man. And as soon as that ref said go, she went for the takedown, and I was, oh man, as a father, seeing your child doing something that you love is it's an amazing feeling.
Man, that's gonna be my next interview, Ray. Leighton Rodriguez is gonna be my next interview. We're gonna ask her, what did you do to intimidate that little boy, Leighton? Because you beat him up, you made him feel bad, and you sent him home crying.
So Leighton already has a fight name. So I'm the judge, obviously. So Leighton's fight name is the Law. So it's Leighton the Law Rodriguez. So whenever they see her at the gym, that's what they call her, is the Law. So and she eats that up, man. She loves it.
I love it. So wait a minute. Speaking of that, Ray, where did you get the name the Judge from? I mean, I got to hear this.
So whenever I started my career, I started out in the Army. I was fighting in the Army up in Europe. Well, I was in the Army, and I started training in Europe. And I started competing over there under Shuto Europe, man. So we would fight people from like Holland, Germany, France, and I was stationed in Belgium. So all of my fights, my first amateur fights, were all finishes, right? Or a majority of them were finishes. And whenever I came back to Fort Hood, I was training at some gym north of Fort Hood in Copper's Cove called Fighters Forge. And one of the coaches asked me about like my fighting career or whatever. And I told him that I was finishing people up in Europe. And he was like, so you don't let the fight go to the hands of the judges, right? And I was like, no. So he's like, so you're the judge. He was like, so you dictate where the fight goes, right? You dictate whether you're going to win or lose. You don't let it go to anybody else. And I was like, yeah, I guess so. He's like, so I guess that's what we're going to call you. And I played with it a little bit on social media, and people loved it, man. So I just kind of ran with it. And to this day, man, when people say Ray Rodriguez, people know me as the Judge. And I love it too, man. It's something that, it's a cool moniker that I've been able to get, and I'm proud of it,
Man, yeah, man, that's good, man. Because I know you don't want your fights, because as of late, man, in MMA, these judges, they've been kind of tripping, man. A lot of these judges, either they can't see, somebody done gave them a big fat envelope. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, I hate when fighters, man, that fight their heart out, man, it gets decided by somebody who probably ain't even laced up a pair of gloves, man, who ain't ever been inside a Kimura, man. By the way, man, Kimura hurt. That hurt like
Yeah.
hell, man. That's the worst feeling in the world, man. I couldn't. I felt helpless, man. I couldn't get out of it. I ain't know how. But you got these guys, man, that they ain't ever fought before, man. They sitting there and they screwing up people's, they screwing up people's livelihoods, man. Some of these judges, and you know, Ray, do you think these judges need monitors? Like just like the commentators, they got monitors. You think these guys need monitors? Just speaking
I,
of judges.
I think what would help the judges, man, is if they had to meet a certain criteria in order to be a judge. So I think to be a judge in the state of Texas, um, I don't think you have to take any kind of test. There's no kind of prerequisites that you have to have, in order to be a judge. Not that I know of, and it's a big deal, man. Like I don't want to say the judges are taking their job for granted, but like you said, like our livelihoods depend on a lot of these on these fights. With MMA, our fights aren't as extensive as a boxer or a Muay Thai fighter. Where you have a good amount of fights. Our career tends to be anywhere from 10 to 20, maybe. I mean, in some cases, a little bit more. So a bad judge's decision could completely ruin your career, and set you back a couple years. So I think there should definitely be some kind of prerequisite, some kind of course that these judges have to take in order to be in that position. I think another thing that the state could do is pay these guys a little bit more too, to make sure that they are making the right decisions, or making sure that they're alert during these fights. And for the judges who do or multiple or constantly having these bad decisions, they need to be fined or kicked off of the board as well. So I mean, there's a lot of finger pointing that you could do, but I feel like the state itself could do a lot more to make sure that fighters are getting a fair shake every single time you walk into that cage.
Yeah, man. I completely agree with that, man. Well, at least should be former trainers, should be former fighters. People
Something.
who understand what they're looking at, man. Because I have a hard time believing like somebody gonna tell me that somebody who's never took a punch to the face, don't even know how to throw a jab,
Yeah.
don't even know how to wrestle, can tell me, what's good wrestling, what's bad wrestling. And I've always been, like, and one judge I tell you, Adelaide Bird, she was a
Uh,
boxing judge. Now she's brought it all the way over to MMA, right? And I'm like, God, dog. I thought I changed sports because I'm a heavy boxing fan, but I'm not watching as much. I'm more into MMA, and lo and behold, damn, here's Adelaide Bird.
it's scary, man.
And I
It
said,
is super. It's
Ray, I said,
scary.
what fourth dimension of hell did they bring her from, man? I couldn't believe it, man. So, and you
it's
can't, and you're not finna tell me, she know how to wrestle. She got
yeah.
this great BJJ skills. No.
It's scary, man. It's scary. Like and like we were saying, this is our livelihood. This is something that we put our lives on the line, not only financially, man, but day in, day out in the gym, spending time away from our families or whatever we love, and to go into the cage and have to worry about potentially getting a bad decision. It's scary, man. It's really scary. I think, like you said, giving the judges some monitors, maybe even having more judges, maybe 5 judges per fight, instead of 3. That way, it's a lot harder to get a bad decision. With 3 judges, if you have 2 who aren't really into the fight, or not really paying attention to what's going on, or one-sided, maybe they know some fighter or something like that. There's a lot that can go on. There's a lot of variables, but if you have 5 judges now, you have a much better chance to get in a fair shake, and I think it would cause maybe for a lot more draws. But there are some fights that are close, man. Like if you look at the Triple G Canelo fight, that fight this last one, it could have definitely been a draw. I mean, it could have went either way, but it definitely could have been a draw as well, So I think with 5 judges, monitors, and that more specifically, I think it'll help. I think it'll help the game a lot.
Yeah, we need 5 judges and lie detector tests hooked up to all of them
Yeah.
to see, hey, did you score this fight to the best of your ability? And we'll watch that needle go. That's what we'll do, man. But no, I'm just playing, man. I'm just playing, man. I'm a jokester, man. I'm a jokester. So Ray, you are a featherweight, right?
I'm a bantamweight. Actually, I had to go up to featherweight my last couple fights. One of them, whenever I fought with Combate, it was in California, and I was under the impression that they were under the new rule sets of California, which means you could only put on so much weight after your weigh-in. So I went to California. I weighed in, and I asked them when the next weigh-in was going to be. That what I was told was they're going to weigh you again the following day, and they kind of looked at me crazy, like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "I thought I was going to weigh in the day before the fight, and then have to weigh in the day of." And they were like, "I don't know who told you that, but that's not what we're doing. We're talking about doing it in the future, but we're not going to do it." So that's why I fought at 145 for that fight. The fight after that, they offered me that Rivaldo Jr. guy. He was a black belt. He had a phenomenal record. He was another big name in San Antonio. So I was like, you know what? Let's just take it. Let's just do it and see what happens. And then this last fight, we actually fought at 140. The guy who I was going to fight, he was kind of worried about making the weight. So they called and said if we could do it at 140. And I was all about it, you know. But from here on out, man, I think I'm gonna stay at 135, man. I'm not a big 45er by any means. I'm walking around not much over. I'm about 155 right now, maybe sometimes less. So 135 is definitely my weight class, man. And I plan on, uh, if not getting that LFA belt, making it into the UFC and start looking for my first world title in the UFC.
Yeah, LFA belt, well, that thing gonna be a treasure gem, man. Cause all they gotta do is get hit with the judge, jury, and the executioner, man, in that right hand. And Ray, I done seen you drop some dudes, man. I done seen you drop some guys. You got a lot of power, man. You got a lot of
Thank you.
power. You got a lot of quickness and speed. And your last fight, I can't remember the gentleman you were fighting, man, but it was a tough fight, man. But man, you came in and it's like you got like I always say you got like three levels, man, and you just maxed out, man. Cause I don't know, man. The guy hit you with a good shot, and it almost like it pissed you off, man. This is the fight when you were in the center of the ring when you won, man, and you was like, yeah, and you remember that fight, man. And
Yeah.
that guy hit you, and man, you got pissed off, and then you commenced to whooping the man, Ray. Could you take us back through that fight, man? I know you know the guy I'm talking about.
Yeah, so this was my last fight here in San Antonio at the Freeman Coliseum. His name was Michael Rodriguez, and he's a guy from the Valley, man, and he's tough. He has really good stand up. He's a great wrestler, and I don't know. I knew it was a big fight. It was on a really big platform, and I knew I had to show all of my skills. So it took me a little while to start up, man. He hit me with the jab, and as soon as I got touched, I was like, oh, we're fighting. Like for some reason that fight, it took me a little while to be like, oh, let's get into this fight. And he touched me with that jab, and with me, man, the way I fight, I tend not to take a lot of damage in my fights. I try to move a lot. I try to have good footwork, and whenever he touched me with that jab, I almost I almost took it as disrespect. Like, dang, I shouldn't have got touched with this. So I was like, let's start pouring it on, man. And um, unfortunately, he got flying knee and he got TKO'd. But I mean,
Sure
it,
did.
it comes with the sport. This is that was a fight that I trained really hard for. Um, and training at Ohana Academy, like I said, we train with killers on a daily basis, and we train hard. We spar very hard at Ohana, and it translates really well into the cage. I'm not afraid to take damage, but the way I fight is I haven't taken a lot in my career. I tend to use a lot of footwork, a lot of angles, and that's something that Joe's really helped me with, man, making sure I'm not only firing or fighting as a linear fighter, but creating angles and throwing shots when they least expect it. So if you thought that fight was good in December, man, October 19th, you're going to see a brand new Ray Rodriguez, man, and it's going to be good. I'm excited about it.
Man, he said October 19th. We finna see a brand. I'm trying to figure out how's it gonna get better from that last performance, cause man, cause you was doing a good job of slipping, man. I saw you was slipping a lot of strikes, man. But yeah, that knee was pretty brutal, man, and that's a high risk maneuver. So, that's maybe educate some of the casual fans that could probably watch this. How do you set somebody up to throw a knee like that? Cause it's real high risk.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. But so when I like throwing it is whenever they're on the cage. Usually whenever you're against the cage, my opponents, they get real square. So you're in a fighting stance, but once you see that cage behind you, I don't know what triggers in their mind, but they just get square, so they get square, so their body's fully exposed. So I've had one knockout by a flying knee, and I've hurt a lot of people by that flying knee too. So I make sure whenever I throw, I set it up by throwing some punches or making them try to figure out what I'm gonna do. So and I have a lot of little tricks like that, man. A lot of stuff me and Joe have been working on. Um, to make sure that this guy doesn't know what's coming, and I think that's going to be the difference of the fight. Anyone could be a linear fighter, anybody. But once you start adding those angles and touching different levels of the body, now you have your opponent guessing. So it's a lot harder to figure out what's coming, man. And I feel like with our speed and our power, this guy's not going to be able to deal with it.
Yeah, well, he get cracked with a knee, man. He get cracked with your knee, that boy going to sleep, man. He going to sleep. All right, now we got a question from my main man Reggie the Tree. He asked you. He said, "Who is your favorite fighter of all time and why?" And does your favorite fighter mirror your fighting style?
So I would say I have two favorite fighters, man. So in boxing, my favorite fighter of all time was Muhammad Ali. I have a big mural of him right here on my forearm, man. And the reason why I say Muhammad Ali is because he created his own style. Before him, the heavyweights weren't moving fast. They didn't have footwork, man, and he always kept his opponents guessing. And not only that, but outside of the ring, man, he did a lot of things that meant a lot to me. He didn't always go with the grain. He went against the grain a lot of the time, and at the time, whenever he was doing it, he caught a lot of slack for it, man. But after his time as a fighter, he got a lot of acknowledgement for it. So to me, it shows that you don't always have to go with the grain. You don't always have to agree with everybody. We're all individuals and we're all unique, and we all have our own opinions. And with your opinion, you have to be able to state it. And that's something I tell my kids too. It's not bad to be unique. It's a great thing. And I think that's something that Muhammad Ali really showed me outside of the ring. It's you don't always have to agree with everybody. You have your own life experiences which allow you to think for yourself. So think for yourself. And I feel like if the world had a lot more of that, there would be a lot less conflict as far as um, a lot of stuff, man. Racism, a lot of politics, people just going at it for no reason. I feel like there's a lot of unneeded hate in this world, man, and people could just kind of stick to their own guns and have their own mindset. It would help a lot with that. So Muhammad Ali was my favorite boxer of all time. And then in MMA, I would have to say Jose Aldo. Just his power, his ferocity, the way he was. But whenever he got into the cage with people, they were already beat. Very much like how Mike Tyson had people. He was just a scary individual, and his technique was phenomenal. It was second to none. Everything was down the pipe. He was big on creating angles too, and anytime he touched you with anything, he would scare people. So he's definitely one of my greatest of all time. I have a couple, but I would say in MMA it would be Jose Aldo.
Well, man, Jose Aldo spent a lot of time at the Robert Garcia Boxing Academy. He
Yeah,
spent a lot of time there, man, and he was sparring with Mikey Garcia. I mean, he was sparring with some of the other young guys that Robert Garcia got there, but he did a lot of rounds with Mikey Garcia. And Mikey Garcia even said that, man, most MMA fighters, they don't understand, how to jab. They don't understand range and distance. But he said, man, Jose Aldo got like a very good understanding of all these things. Like Mikey said, man, it was some really good sparring, man. So from a pure boxer to say that about an MMA fighter, Jose Aldo, boy, hey, he going down in history as a legend. And the thing, he was going to retire, man. At
it's crazy.
31, he was going to retire, but then he won his last fight. Guy knocked him out, man. I have so many problems with names sometimes, but man, knocked out his
It
last
was
opponent.
what was Jeremy Stevens, right? Hit him with that
Yeah,
body shot.
Jeremy Stevens. And Stevens was talking a gang of crap, man. And Jose Aldo just went in there, man, and hit him with that, man. He hit him with a hook to the body, man.
Yeah, he dropped him with that liver shot. It was nasty,
Jeremy
man. So
Stevens said, "Oh," I thought he said, "Oh, that's what I thought he said. I don't know. He probably felt like he had to take one though. I don't know, man.
oh,
After
that was
that,
bad. He definitely folded, man. And I feel like body shots are a thing that MMA fighters they don't use as much as what they could. There's a lot of openings, especially with MMA guys who like to cover up on the cage or whatever. So body shots are another thing that I feel like could really be used in the MMA community, and I think a little bit more now. People are utilizing it a little bit more now, but Yeah, so Jose Aldo, man, he would attack you everywhere, to the head, to the body, to the legs, to the liver, and like I said, it keeps you guessing, you know. So he's definitely one of my greatest or favorite of all time.
Okay, man, two great fighters, his favorites of all time, man. Guys, I'm here with Ray the Judge Rodriguez. Now, Ray, I gotta ask you about a fight, man. I gotta ask you about a fight, man. You picked up a guy and you body slam KO'd him, man. And you know, I watched that. I watched the replay of that slam, man, about 6 times in a row, man. Man, what? How did you even get Salinas into that way to slam him like that, man? I mean, you slammed him, and I thought that guy had an out of body experience, man. I thought he was floating above his own body. I thought you killed him, man.
So that was my first fight with Legacy, and I took it on relatively short notice. I think I took it like on 4 weeks notice. That guy who I was fighting, he was also someone who I followed quite a bit. I watched a lot of his tapes and stuff like that, and he was another guy who I knew eventually I was gonna fight. You know, he was someone who I really respected his skills. I knew he was good, and I knew I had to go in there and give my all. The first 2 rounds actually were kind of a little lackluster. I was respecting him a little bit too much, and that third round I went to my corner and my coaches were like, let's go get this finished, man. Like, let's stop playing around. Let's go get this finished. So we put the pressure on him, man. And as soon as we got that double under body lock, we scooped him up, man, and hit him with that WWE slam, you know, and you saw what happened after that.
Yeah, man. I thought that boy lost his life, man. He was jangling on the ground. I said, man, what the heck, man? Hit him, put this dude out. But you know, when I saw that fight, I'm like, yeah, man, this guy's it, man. You're a threat to anybody in that division, man.
I
Anybody in the
appreciate
bantamweight division, and you know what? I even think anybody in bantamweight through featherweight. I think if they have to get in the octagon with you, man, it's those guys are gonna have a tough fight, man. It's not gonna be an easy road for them. I don't
I
know.
appreciate I appreciate that, man. I feel like my I guess my catalog of fights, a lot of my stuff's on YouTube, you know, it's on the internet, and a lot of people tell me to take it down, and I don't feel like it's a negative thing to have on YouTube, you know. I feel like it could be up there and people could study it, and it doesn't matter because I'm gonna come to the cage a brand new fighter every fight anyway. And um like, if you look at some of the greatest fighters of all time, like Jose Aldo, you know, like, people knew what Jose Aldo was gonna do. They knew what he was gonna do, and they still couldn't stop him. You know, so that's the approach I take, man. Like, if you think you know what I'm gonna do, try to stop it, and we'll see what happens from there. You know, like, I feel like my confidence in this game is something that's not a lot of people have it. And the reason why I have so much confidence is because the way I train, man. I train with some of the best in the world, and I push myself to the limits every single day. So I told you today was supposed to be an off day,
Mm.
and I went to the gym, and I was gonna do a little bit of stretching, and I did like a 30-minute sprint on an off day, you know. And I just I say this because I try to outwork everybody in the game. I really do, and I feel like I outwork a lot of these fighters. You know, I put everything, my heart and soul, into training camp, and I feel like that's what the difference is between winning and losing. You know, is giving that extra whenever you want to relax, or that extra round when you want to stop sparring, or the extra day of work whenever you want to take a day off. Just that little bit of extras, man, is what the difference is between winning and losing a lot of the times, man.
Man, he said no other fighter outworks him. Hey, my man here is telling you what it is. So, you know, a lot of you young and up and coming fighters, y'all need to take what he's saying to heed. Y'all need to take these words, man, because you know he putting in his work, man. Now he has a balance. I think this balanced version of Ray the Judge Rodriguez. I think this is the Ray the Judge Rodriguez that's scary, man. And you know, Mr. Gutierrez, man, if you're listening, you can watch all the video you want of him, but he said it don't matter. You got to beat him on fight day when it's time. God Almighty, I love it. I love it. Well, man, I'm gonna ask you. Ray, I don't keep you too much long, but I'm gonna ask you a couple more questions, man. Just a few more. So, with that being said, this fight coming up October the 19th, man. You've been working hard and training. I gotta know who has been kicking your butt in training. Like, who has been giving you the roughest, most aggressive training for this fight?
So we have a couple guys, a lot of guys actually, man. Like our MMA team is huge. But so like some of the higher level guys who I've been going with are like Alex Hernandez. He's in the UFC. Peter Stanonik. He's one of the best kickboxers in the state by far. Robert Casper. He's getting ready. He's fighting on the same card as me. Peter Stanonik as well. Who else do we got, man? And a lot of up and comers, man. A lot of amateurs that the world hasn't heard of, but are gonna make a statement whenever they go pro. You have guys like Patrick Ferguson. He's a really close friend of mine, and he gives me fits every time I spar with him, man. He's a 125er, and he's one of my hardest sparring sessions every time. He has one level and one level only, so there's no light sparring and there's no light training with this guy. You're fighting for your life every time. Who else do we got? Josh Rosen. He's one of the guys who I wrestle with a lot. He's really good. Washington Lewis, world champion kickboxer. Gleason Pony trains at the gym. He hasn't been a huge part of this camp only because he had a little injury. He was on the UFC Contender Series and he had an injury for that fight, but he's been a huge part of my success too. And my coaches as well, man. Jason Yarrington has really helped me put everything together for this fight. Mitman Joe, obviously, John O'Rourke,
Man.
and just the whole culmination of everything together, man. Like I said, I feel like we're unbeatable right now.
Yeah, y'all unbeatable, man. I'm gonna tell you, man. I don't know the rest of your trainers, man, but I think Mitman Joe got some of the best, man. Some of the best training methodologies, man, out there. And I've seen a lot of trainers, man. I've
I
seen a
agree.
lot of trainers, man. I've seen a lot. I'm talking about like I've seen some on world levels, and I don't know, man. I think Mitman Joe right up there at the top, man. So y'all got a diamond in that guy. I'm telling you, I don't know, man, how so many people overlook, but it's kind of good for y'all because when he really get his name out there, man, you'll be established as one of his main guys. But it's gonna be people coming to him because they're gonna realize how good he is, man. I
Yeah,
even tell fighters, man, if you're in that area, y'all need to go see Mitman Joe. You know,
he's by far one of the best I've ever worked with in my life, man. And what I like about him is like I said, like he brings a intangible to the table. Like he is good at holding mitts and he is good at motivating you, but just the fact that deep down in his heart, man, like his ultimate goal is to see you successful. Like and I've worked with some coaches who don't necessarily have that. Who they want to win, and I've worked with guys in the past, way in the past, way
mhm.
before I moved to but Joe's different, man. He's from a different cloth, man. He wants you to be successful, and it's not for his benefit either. He wants you to be successful because he knows how much you put into this game, because he cares for you as a person, man. And that's one of the intangibles that Joe brings to the table, man. He really cares for you. Yesterday, late, I told you my daughter competed,
Yeah,
and Mitman Joe last night he checked on her, man, and I thought that was phenomenal. He just asked me how she was doing and how she did in the tournament, and stuff like that means the world to me, and it makes me want to work that much harder for that guy.
man, I'm telling you, hey, Mitman Joe, he gonna be a celebrity. But he ain't gonna want that kind of publicity. But that's guy gonna be a celeb of trainers, man. I'm telling you. So I'm glad because he got a lot of good words to say about you guys too, man. I mean, and I think deep down, there's a love. It's a general love, man. It's kind of like, man, he really care about y'all on different levels, man. So
He does.
I respect. Well, man, I gotta get you for some fight predictions, man, and then we'll wrap it up, man. I've enjoyed talking to you, bro. I've been glad talking to you, man. Okay, first fight prediction, man. Who you got between Cyborg versus Nunez, man?
I'm gonna have to go with Cyborg, man. I like Amanda Nunes, but Cyborg's big. She's a big 145er, and Amanda Nunes is going up. And I feel like Cyborg's stand up. I think it might be able to put away Amanda Nunes, and it's gonna be a good fight. But I think Cyborg takes it.
Come on, man. You just hating on the man. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Hey, Ray, all the Nunez fans, they not gonna like you for that. Cause I got a lot of Nunez fans that'll watch this video. I got Cyborg winning too. You know what? Ray is a professional. This man has had 17 MMA. He's had 17 professional fights. I know y'all got to listen to him. If you don't listen to Ray, yeah, I mean, I ain't had 17 professional fights. So, but this is the expert. He would know. Got him. Okay. McGregor versus Khabib.
I don't know, man. A lot of people were asking me, and whew, it's tough. I can't pick between the two, but I do predict that it'll be one hell of a fight, man. It's just so hard because if I pick Conor, then in another 20 minutes I'm gonna be like, nah, but Khabib's takedowns are crazy, and I'll go back and forth. So I don't want to give you a prediction because I don't have anything set in stone for myself, man. I do predict that it's gonna be a damn good fight, and it's gonna be a great fight for the sport. You know, it's gonna have a lot of eyes on it, and I feel like it's gonna bring a lot of attention to the sport as well.
Man, those are his predictions, y'all. Ray the Judge Rodriguez. Well, Ray, man, I really and truly appreciated this. Man, it's been fun, man. So let me ask, bro, do you have anybody? You got any of your team sponsors? You know, you want to give a shout out to, man?
Yeah, obviously my team at Ohana Academy, man. These guys push me on a daily basis. All of my coaches, all of my teammates, everyone at Ultimate Submission Academy, which is my academy here on the south side of San Antonio. All of my sponsors, man. Rocks Discount Vitamins, Lone Star Beer, Red Rebuild Evolve Destroy, J&D Tax and Associates, Alamo City Cryotherapy, Zedrix, Matrix Construction. Anyone who's been with me since day one, man, through all the ups and downs, I cannot thank you enough. And after October 19th, man, the world's gonna know who we are.
Man, if y'all don't know who Ray the Judge Rodriguez is now, y'all better start doing y'all homework, because class is gonna be in session when this man is fighting on the 19th. Okay, class is in session. Okay, Ray, I gotta ask you one more thing, man, and I meant to ask you, Ray, how do I get out of Kimura, man? Somebody put me in a Kimura 3 months ago, man, and cause he said, I bet you can't get out of this. I said, man, yeah, I can get out of this. Ray, I couldn't get out, man. What's the first step?
I think prior practice, or not prior practice, but making the right steps before they're able to grab your wrist and go over your elbow, man. That's what's most important, right? So once they start wrapping that up, you're really in a tough spot, you know. But I would say, let me see. I would say keep your hand whenever you're in someone's guard, elbows in. You want to keep your hands on their hips and start looking to pass that guard, because as soon as they wrap up that arm, it's really tough position. Worst case scenario, if they had that Kimura in your guard or you're in their guard, I want you to roll over. I want you to go to your back. They'll have the mount position, but they'll no longer have that Kimura or as deep as it was. It'll give you a small window of opportunity to get out of that position. And coach, if you're ever on the south side of San Antonio, you got an open door policy into my gym, man. You're more than welcome to come at any time.
Man, okay. Man, hey, I'm going to come in that gym. I might even do an all access, man.
Let's do it.
Ray Judge all access, man. Shoot, man. Countdown. Yeah, man, I would love to do that, man. God, dog.
Let's do it. Well, hey, Coach Shelton, I got my wife calling me. We're about to have dinner here in a minute.
Okay.
I might have to wrap it up. I just wanted to say thank you so much, man. It meant the world to me that you took time out of your day to do this interview. And any other time you want to do something like this, I'm all about it. And like I said, come on down to Ultimate Submission Academy and let's get that Kimura defense on point.
I'll be there, Ray. I'll be there, man. Listen, last thing, take us out, man. Hey, say your name and say, hey, you're watching Coach Shelton Harrison. Uh-oh. Okay, I think he out. Well, man, I had Ray the Judge Rodriguez in the building, guys. Show your support, man. He's got to get out. His wife is on the phone. All right, Ray. Thank you, man. Appreciate it, man.
All right.